Well, that was a shame. I just shot a video in the forest. It was a really brilliant video. We're out in old growth forest near here, temperate inland rainforest, and it was river flowing by in the background. I made this great big video and solid 20 minutes, and I was really happy. And then I realized the microphone wasn't on or working. Anyways, so hopefully this time it works, because being an unscripted format, it makes it a lot harder to, and I don't pretend to be an editor of content. So, anyways, back in the workshop with a fire in the fireplace and things to talk about. Things to talk about. One of the things that I do, how do I describe this? I think it's just what happens when people channel. And for quite a while now, I didn't think I was channeling, but maybe I am channeling. But more importantly, I think I'm the person being channeled, or I've been out wandering around visiting people as a channeled entity or a channeled being. And I know it sounds really kind of goofy, but bear with me. This is my explanation. So, if you're having an out-of-body experience or astral traveling, and like I mentioned before, this happens when I'm sleeping. Sometimes I'll go out and experience things, and then come back to my body, and not usually willingly or in any directed fashion, which has always made me feel like there's somebody else helping me learn what I need to learn. Anyhow, um, and when you watch people channel, and there's lots of videos, there's lots of content on YouTube, and I have friends that do it, and it all seems very genuine and authentic. But I've always, for quite a while now, I've been quite concerned that it's being that we are the more primitive intellect or limited intellect, and when you're channeling an entity, how do you know what their intent is? And I got nothing to go on from people that channel while they're awake and seem to have really happy, positive experiences and don't ever come away with a malicious sense to it. And yet, when you watch all the different YouTube videos about it and you see people channeling, and some of them are really good. I mean, some of them, the content is phenomenal, but some of it isn't. And I find quite a bit of it terribly manipulative, particularly the stuff with like Ashtar Command and the Palladians, and there's a whole bunch of them, and it feels like it's AI generated anyways, and you really got to question the integrity of it. Anyhow, and then of course even people like Ann Tucker, who I followed diligently for quite a while, it just seems to go on and on and on and on, and then there's no conclusion, and she speaks to that herself, that it's going to happen soon. Anyways, so no matter what's coming through, there's a mechanism there by which whatever entity is coming through to the channeler, there's an occupation that happens, concurrence of space, and I think when you're channeling, you're deliberately channeling, you're giving yourself up for someone else to use, so that they can express what they have to say, and they're using your vocal cords and your body and your hands, gesticulations, and it's willing. It's it's cool. Like I said, I've got friends that channel, and it looks very genuine and authentic. And somebody shows up, says their piece through them, and then recedes and goes away. And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm back now." And in that interchange, there's a various levels of telepathic connection between the host and the channeled entity. And that can include emotions and feelings and a depth, a greater depth of connection that you can't necessarily put into words. So that's what I figure is going on. And what weirded me out is that I'm pretty sure that's what I'm doing when I'm out and about visiting parallel timelines and visiting other people, like I talked about in that weird dream thing. Like, I was that guy walking around on the airplane doing whatever he was doing. Like he didn't know I was there, but I was experiencing his reality as him while he was still there. And I've had a lot of experiences doing this, and it took me quite a while to figure out what I was doing, because I thought it was just, picking up on something. But then you realize you're actually occupying the same space as that person. They don't know you're there. And, boundaries, like, you wonder why am I getting shown these things that by that methodology. Like, I just went to bed and think about, oh man, I want to go visit, a friend of mine tonight, and maybe I'll drop in telepathically and he can channel me and we can have a visit. That'd be cool, but never is there an intention like that when this starts. I just become conscious that I am somewhere else, and sometimes in someone else. Anyhow, one in particular that I wanted to share, because I wanted to talk about angels and demons and the role. And I know lots of people don't like talking about demons or dark energies. I mean, I talked about the silver two-dimensional fish parasites in my last video, and you could look at it from that perspective. Malicious entities that feed off our energy, and good, bad, or indifferent. That there's experiential evidence to support that. But anyway, so in this particular event in my life, and this is a few years ago, I become aware of a woman in front of me, and she's standing in front of a bathroom mirror or vanity, and she's working on her hair and makeup, and I don't know who it is because she's got her back to me, and so I'm pulled forward until I am in her consciousness, and I'm looking out through her eyes at her reflection in the mirror. So, oh, it's a blonde woman, and she's, doing her hair and putting on makeup. And I'm looking at her image, and I'm trying to figure out who she is, because she looks really familiar, but not exactly right. And then I'm looking at her image in the mirror, and the image in the mirror starts to change, and it starts, like, the color goes out of her skin, and she looks kind of ashen and old and, crony. And then it gets worse, and instead of the background, which would be behind me, which would be the room behind you in the mirror, the image changes to like a hellscape of brimstone and burning, and so it shows Stranger Things, like the Upside Down, where just all the life is gone out of it, and then it got really weird and dark. And then her image turned into the demon. And the demon that lives in her could see me because of the mirror interface, and saw me instantly as a threat and attacked. And bear in mind that the person I'm visiting, I think it's a real person, and They're still doing their thing. They're oblivious to this energy interchange now that I can see another dimension in the mirror that she's looking into, and I can see the demon that is inhabiting her. I don't sense it on this side. I sense it in the reflection. Like there's some boundary there. Anyways, I'm looking at the mirror, and the mirror comes out of the mirror like with a point of glass. It's coming out of the mirror, and it's going to penetrate my third eye. This demon's attacking me. Wants to infect me as well. Anyhow, so I back up. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I back out, and I'm out. But it's still coming for me. You can still feel it. Like it's coming right through her head and out the back of her head. This piercing spear of glass, malicious, malevolent evil coming for my third eye. And I'm like, oh, Archangel Michael, save me, please help me. And I'm way over my head, help me out. And I'm out. And I don't know who it is, and I don't know. I feel like Michael couldn't actually do anything about it. Thoughts for another day. Anyway, subsequent to that, I've had these events where I feel like I'm visiting myself in alternate timelines. Briefly, quickly, more depth and content sometimes, with or without telepathic communications to myself in another lifetime or another parallel lifetime. And one might argue that they're all parallel lifetimes because everything's right now. Anyhow, it begs the question that when someone's channeling an entity, how do they know it's an Arcturian? How do they know it's a Palladian? How do they know it's an angel? How do they know it's not just their brother Dave? Or the CIA? Or a malevolent, somebody who doesn't have your best interest at heart? I think that's really important because you should set an intention if you're going to channel, before you channel, of highest and best, and call on your guides and your guardian angels to very consciously be aware that you only want to channel individuals that are not going to make your life worse. Anyhow, so yeah. And another thing happened recently where, I was with someone who's very clairvoyant, and she was tapping in on a situation, trying to resolve it for someone else. I was just there. And I think she got caught up in the fact that that's what she's doing, is she's visiting the other person in their other lifetime, looking for a causality to a problem in this lifetime, if that makes any sense. Like, there's a relationship conflict between two people that goes back through multiple lifetimes where they've been trying to resolve this over and over and over again, and now in this lifetime, it's built up to a level of animosity and energy, and it's very damaging and unhealthy for everybody involved, and needs to be put to rest or resolved. So you bring in the clairvoyant person says, okay, let me see what I can pick up on. And they pick up on one of those individuals in the conflict in a previous lifetime, trying to find the incident that started it all. And this is, but it's so real because the clairvoyant person is experiencing it first person as one. God, it's weird. I don't know whether I'm doing this justice, but the person in the conflict in a previous lifetime and the clairvoyant in this lifetime trying to help them is now experiencing that person's lifetime in a past life and relaying the circumstances in that previous life that caused the conflict with the other person in this lifetime. And because it's an intimate first person perspective, the clairvoyant person, the medium, has a tendency to misread it as their experience and not the person they're reading. Do you follow me? It's super weird. Anyways, I think all of this has a purpose, and you know, I'm not trying to become a Buddha or a guru or an ascended master. I just want to try to figure out what these developing and emerging perceptive abilities are, these sensory perceptions. And I think what it is a form of mental telepathy, and going to visit people on some energy level and them being able to talk to you or welcome them. Hey, you know, Rod, like, welcome to my head. And Rod's in my head and we talk and he sees what I'm looking at. He looks around my shop and he can tell me things like, hey, why don't you try this instead of doing it wrong? And we could talk back and forth. And then it'd be like FaceTime in your brain, like, okay, Rod, I'll see you later. And he goes back to where he lives. And I don't have to have him in my head all the time. But I feel like that's where we're going. I feel like that's a real possibility, that that's what telepathy looks like. And maybe by knowing what it looks like, you can teach yourself how to experience it. Anyhow, channel with caution. If you find yourself in my head, make yourself known and say hi. And if you find me visiting you, I'm sorry, I'm still learning control. It's you know, boundaries. But I would never want anything other than your highest and best. So that's it. That's my couple of weird experiences and my emerging understanding of consciousness expanding. Okay, thanks. Have a good day.